What's up, everybody? We're in the Foundation Cigars booth. One of the coolest cats in the industry, Nick Melillo.
Emmett, great to see you,
How you
man.
doing, man?
Yeah, I love
So
it. We're live and direct.
You brought about a million new things to this show. But before we talk about the
not
new
a million.
stuff, you always bring a lot of stuff, and we appreciate the new stuff.
We try.
Before that, I want to talk about your new home office. It's beautiful, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's a dream come true. It was the vision from the beginning. I wanted to have an office right on a tobacco farm.
It's amazing.
So a really good friend of mine, tobacco grower in the Valley I've known for 20 years. We actually met in Nicaragua. John Foster, Dunn & Foster Tobacco in the Valley. We teamed together. It's on a 300-acre farm. The building that we're in was actually an old a dormitory for Jamaican workers that came to pick Connecticut shade.
So that fits right in with your whole...
Fits right in. People don't realize Connecticut has the third largest population of Jamaicans in the United States.
Did not know that.
And the direct reason for this is cigars and tobacco.
That's
so
awesome.
In 1944, there was a huge demand for cigars, not enough men to work the fields. So the state of Connecticut went to the government of Jamaica and they made a work program for Jamaicans to come up during the growing season from April to about November, December. And so this was an old shade farm, old barracks. It was painted green and yellow originally, the Jamaican colors. And it's kind of cool. There's a lot of history there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So it's, Connecticut's a very important place for us as a company, but also it's so important to the industry and the culture of cigars.
Yeah.
And I really want to bring more and more light to the growing region.
Absolutely.
And keep it growing and thriving. So
how much of your time do you split between there and Nica?
So it's back and forth. Usually I'm heading down to Nicaragua January to May. Usually I'm in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
We're actually receiving the crops from Connecticut in the end of December, January. So I'm down there actually. It's amazing to review the crops from Connecticut. The growing season in Connecticut is from April until September, end of September, and then curing barns up until about Thanksgiving.
Right.
And then we pack and ship, and January containers start going down to Nicaragua. So to see the tobacco in Connecticut and then be in Nicaragua to see it's wild.
That's awesome.
So I'm usually in Nicaragua for that time. Then I come up for the show. Then I'm back down in Nicaragua to make sure production is good. All the show orders are going. Then I'm back up to Connecticut in the fall time more because the crops are starting to come out. Crop selection is happening. And then back down to Nicaragua just probably November time. Yeah. It's a constant. I'm commuting from Connecticut to Nicaragua.
I don't envy that commute.
It's wild. It gets a little harder as you get older too.
You just work from home like me. It's a lot easier.
It's great, but it's been tough for me because I'm certain things, remote working is good.
Yeah.
But when it comes to strategizing, sales, I like to be. COVID was tough because I need to be around people.
Right.
So having the office, we're doing a combination of remote and being in the office. So usually we're in the office Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're remote Tuesday, Thursday.
That's a good balance.
It's a good combo.
Yeah. For sure.
So.
All right, well, let's get into the new stuff.
Yes, sir.
You got all kinds of cool stuff to show us. Where do you want to start?
So we have some, limited projects and then a new core line. We can start with the core line called Matapa. Matapa is really interesting, new brand. I'm really excited about it. The imagery on Matapa is of Ruben Darío. Ruben Darío is a very famous Spanish poet. And he's probably the most famous Nicaraguan national hero. His imagery can be seen everywhere in Nicaragua. The imagery here is when he received an award from the government of Nicaragua. So he's dressed in this sort of traditional no-collar Spanish garb. It was very reminiscent of Simon Bolivar type feel. I thought it was good to, kind of use that as a little inspiration, that
Right.
imagery.
That's great.
So Matapa is where he was born, which is just south of Esteli.
Okay.
It's a 10-count box, Sumatra Ecuador wrapper.
Beautiful.
I've never come out with a project using Sumatra Ecuador. I've always used the tobacco. I just have never released a brand with it. It's a very unique wrapper with very unique flavor profiles. It has a bit of a good bitterness to it, but if you're not careful, it could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So hence I have a Connecticut broadleaf binder, which sweeter, earthier,
Right.
really rounds that out. And then the fillers are predominantly Vizos, Ligeros. It's a full body, full flavored, full strength blend. 4 sizes. We did Maduro and then also a Claro version. I always like to have a Maduro and a Claro, just as you know, guys love Maduros, they don't like Claros. They like Claros, they don't like Maduros. So I always like to have the option.
So same leaf, different.
Yeah, so same
priming.
different priming.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep. Just a little bit lighter.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So the Matapa is going to be a core line. We have the new Charter Oak Especial. The Charter Oak line for me has been really an homage to my grandfather's. There was a lot of Connecticut brands up into the end of the 90s. They kind of faded away. We manufactured a lot of cigars in Connecticut. Unfortunately, a lot of these brands sort of faded away. Hence, I created Charter Oak they were always value cigars, great cigars. Charter Oak being the image of Hartford, Connecticut. That's the logo. I thought it was a perfect brand to really pay homage to those old Connecticut brands. Those are an everyday style smoke. That's why I created it. This is something special. And I used my 2 grandfathers' names. Pasquale, he was an extra oscuro Connecticut broadleaf smoker. That's what he smoked. Size is a 5.5 by 48. That was the traditional size of Connecticut cigars. 12-count box. And then I also did one for my mother's father, Pegnatero was his name. He smoked Connecticut Shade. So that's a Connecticut Shade. Completely different blend than Charter Oak Core line.
Okay.
The only commonality is the wrapper. We use broadleaf and Connecticut Shade, but every other tobacco in the blend is different. These are much more complex, a lot more depth, a lot more flavor in the sense of in complexity and flavor, whereas the Charter Oak core lines are more milder to medium, lighter in blend.
So these are going to be limited?
These are going to be limited quarterly, so we'll release these every quarter. In about 700 boxes a quarter, and they'll be used to, sell to the shops that are carrying Charter Oak. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm looking forward to those for sure.
Yeah, these are nice. I'll hook you guys up with a few so you can try them. The last but not, second to last, Tabernacle Night Commander. It's a wild story.
That's a wild name.
It's a wild name. I was honored by the Ethiopian Crown Council last year with the Ethiopian Star of Honor, which is
so cool.
This imagery. Yeah, it's wild. An honor of a lifetime. I was given the rank of Knight Commander, which is pretty cool. So I wanted to do a cigar I can't believe I got this award. I don't feel worthy. I'm not worthy. So I wanted to do something for charity and to give back. So all the proceeds on foundation side will go directly towards Ethiopian charities. 6 3/4 by 52 Perfecto. These have been aging in Nicaragua for the past 15 months. It's a special blend of the Tabernacle, but I wanted to give them some good age. So it's a more, I want to say, refined Tabernacle.
Okay.
Yes.
So same tobaccos, different ratios, or
different ratios.
Okay,
different ratios. Yeah. And the aging time is a lot longer.
Yeah. That's a long
Usually regular Tabernacles were at the 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are at 15 months. By the time they ship, we're going to be at 18 18 months aging
Awesome.
time. So
It's gonna be delicious.
delicious. So these are probably going to be all this stuff early fall time.
Yep.
And then finally, we re-released the Signature because there was a great outcry. This is the Highclere Castle Signature we did last year for the 100th anniversary of King Tut's discovery. Highclere Castle, Lord Carnarvon, who lives in the castle, his great-grandfather discovered King Tut's tomb with Howard Carter. They asked me to do a special box for the 100th anniversary, which was last year. We had an Egyptologist work on the hieroglyphs to make sure they were all legit. This was an exact replica of a box found in the tomb.
That's such a cool box.
Yeah, they came out really special. So we had such a demand for these that we're going to end up doing them as an annual release. Same with the Knight Commander, hoping just for the holidays. I want to have these as something special before Thanksgiving, Christmas time, Hanukkah time. These are meant to be those special smokes. This is not your everyday smoke. This is meant to be, a holiday, special occasion, anniversary style.
Anything different size or blend wise from the original?
This is going to be the same. Same. Yep. They're aging, setting them aside. Nothing's going to be different with those. Yeah.
That's all. That's all great stuff.
Yeah, man.
So Nick, what's your happy place making cigars? As a cigar maker, what do you enjoy doing the most? Is it talking with people? Is it blending? What's your favorite part?
I'll tell you my favorite part. My favorite part is being locked in a room with all the tobaccos and coming up with these blends.
That would have been my guess.
Yeah. That's my really happy place. When I come up with these blends, I lock myself in a room and I have all the tobaccos spread out after I've selected everything that I want to use. I have my rolling table, I have my chaveta, I have my goma, and I sit there and just roll up tabacchiatos, work with the blends. That's awesome.
So you've got a lot of lines to maintain now these days. How often do you have to go back and does the factory help you out with replacing tobaccos that you can't source anymore? How hard is that on you?
This is the fortunate thing is my relationships with my manufacturers and my tobacco suppliers, and having the resources to secure tobacco inventories to keep things consistent. I mean, we're usually sourcing to at least survive one crop cycle. So if there's a major disaster, Connecticut's been different. Connecticut is tough. Connecticut on a good year, you have difficulty with yields compared to other tobacco countries that are growing wrappers. I mean, broadleaf, the plant, when you see it in the field, it looks like a filler plant, which is shorter, it's stockier. Wrapper plants are usually 8 feet, 9 feet. They're thinner, they're taller, they're growing in shade. So on a good year, you're dealing with challenges. The weather is over the past 5 years has been, last year 20% of the crop, made it through. That's not a lot. So we have a lot of challenges. But in general, with the other tobaccos, we're trying to survive, have enough inventory for a crop cycle, just in case there's a volcano that goes off, there's rains, monsoon, we can survive and keep things consistent. So I'm fortunate to work and have the reserves with tobacco. And that's the key, and
as a blender, is it harder to create a new blend that you love, or to go back and maintain to get those exactly how they should be? What's more of a challenge?
I think new blends. I mean, because the other blends, I know where they're at and they're already done. I'm fortunate with my experience now to be able to blend. I've come up with my own techniques that I see that work for me. And, that it's still a challenge, but, the test is time also with new blends. So you have to give them the time and age them out and then smoke them. And then you just, want it to be good. And there's so much pressure in this business and expectation with blends. It's great to see like Olmec for us. We planned big, but that one really took off. So for me, it's about maintaining. You have the pressure from the market. Stores, I understand they're trying to sell. They're dealing with final consumers. But for me, it's always about the quality and consistency. Because I've seen so many companies, I've learned from their mistakes. You can't go back in this industry if you have major quality control issues, burn issues. So I've worked so hard to never jeopardize that. And the pressure is sometimes difficult, but I have to explain to these guys, my sales guys, they're in the front lines dealing with the sale, but guys, this is how it is, man.
So when you're blending something, like, are you able to predict, like, if you come up with a new blend, can you know just from experience what that's going to taste like in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? Or are you guessing?
Now I have, so if I'm smoking it on the day I'm rolling it, I'm smoking right then, I usually know where it's going to be. Newer tobaccos, though, I always like to make sure. But that's why I don't like to give. I'll never really give newer stuff, fresh stuff, because if you don't have experience smoking it at those stages, you're not gonna kind of know where it's gonna be or where it's supposed to be. So, yes, I've gotten to that point, but I always
that can only be through experience. Like you can't tell someone that this is going to taste like this if you do this. You can only that's all it
is. That's what I tell people. They throw around master blender and this. It's really just the experience and how much time you put in. The more you put in time to something, the more you're going to know.
Right.
If I spent my last 20 years doing computer programming, I hope I would know how to program computers. But and then I think it's then just how much love or passion you have for something. And I love being around tobacco. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. So it still excites me. Walking to a curing barn, I'm a huge dork. So I think the day that I don't feel that, I probably won't be.
That's when you retire.
That's when you're out.
Well, Nick. We congratulate you on all your success. Can't wait to see what you do next. This is all exciting stuff.
Thank
you so much for the
time. Appreciate it.
We
great to see you guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
All right.